Hello, and welcome to our program, Delivering Service Management that People Actually Want to Use. My name is Udi Gottlieb, and I'm a Director of Product Marketing here at ServiceNow. So just as we set the stage, let me give you a little background on ServiceNow, just so you know who we are. ServiceNow is the enterprise cloud company. Our cloud-based service modernizes and transforms the enterprise. We believe that IT is the backbone of the modern enterprise, and we continue to invest heavily in all areas of the business to stay ahead of customers' demand and continue to reshape the perception of the enterprise software market. We have more than 3,000 customers, 3,900 employees, and operate across the globe. We have major sites in San Diego, the Silicon Valley, Seattle, Amsterdam, London, Israel, and Sydney, Australia. To exceed the requirements of the largest enterprises out there, our cloud is offered in 16 data centers globally to create 8 paired data centers for redundancy and data sovereignty. Now, let's take a look at a few other companies out there. As consumers, we interact with automated systems to get things done. Instead of relying on manual interactions, we use cloud services to book trips, buy products and services, check account balances with our banks, or get help with any problem. We have grown very comfortable interacting with systems such as Uber, OpenTable, and Airbnb rather than directly with people. The services are not powered by new technology. They are simply applying existing technology in new ways. Messaging systems like email and chat act in supporting role, maybe even as a backup, but they're no longer the main mode of communication and transaction with those service providers. Given the freedom to choose how they want to interact, your employees have already made choices in their personal life. They like to do things online. They use Facebook to stay in touch with their friends. They use Amazon to buy their stuff, and Expedia and Airbnb to book their holidays. They like to be able to access things from wherever, whenever. They use Uber over the phones to book a car, OpenTable on their tablets to book a restaurant table, and if a question comes up over dinner, they can Google the answer faster than they can get attention of the waiter. They chat with their friends instantly via SMS, Facebook Messenger, or WhatsApp to get responses quickly. All that happens until they get to work. We hear this from people all the time. They go to work and it's like traveling back in time. Gone are the modern web interfaces and the mobile apps. They go back about 20 years to an age of bell-shaped gray, Soviet-era software that is designed for anything but ease of use. They have to use email and paper forms, yes, paper forms, to request things that they need to do their job. They have to pick up the phone, which just goes to voicemail in many cases, and send emails to communicate with their coworkers. They have no idea whenever they will ever get a response back for their message. And of course, they can't work anywhere else than their desks. This is so painful that it's estimated that employees spend 2 days per week doing things that are not their jobs. So think about it. If you are an accounting manager, you are spending 2 days of your week doing administrative tasks that has nothing to do with accounting. Actually, in the State of Work research that ServiceNow has just launched a couple of weeks ago, we saw that about 84% of their interactions that we do as consumers goes through web or mobile devices, while only 23% of those interactions are happening through web and mobile interfaces at work. So let me ask you this. Why is it so different when we come to work? It doesn't have to be. So I've created a list of 10 things that you can do to change the experience of your internal customers. Doing any of these things will improve their experience with you dramatically. Doing several of them will make a big difference to their experience and ultimately to the way they consume services that you offer. I'm not going to pretend that this is the definitive list of 10, but it's 10 things that I've seen constantly coming back from conversations and customer implementations that I've seen throughout the years. So as we go through this presentation, if you have any others that you would like to add to that list, please, by all means, we would love to hear them. Just keep the conversation going on our communities and add those ideas so we can add to that list and keep it going forward. The conversation will continue on the ServiceNow community after we will publish this webinar. So please stay on the conversation and add your ideas. So with that, let's take a look at the top 10 ways to deliver services that people actually want to use. I would like to kick it off with what might be an obvious one that so often is forgotten. Before you do anything, take the time to get to know your customers, and then look at the information you already have about them, and use that to make sure that you're offering the right services at the right places at the right times. You get the drift. I would like to get you started by something very simple. Visit your customers. Go to their office and see how they work. Even their body language as they show you how they work and how they ask for services from you. Where are they located? Think about time zones and working environments. How do they interact with you today? Email? Phone? On a computer? From a mobile device? Are they in an office or out and about? What are they looking for when they contact you? Do they come to the right place? How often? Do they have the expectations around your service? What are the expectations? When do they complain? How do they complain? Would they be willing to use self-help? Perhaps look at something like a knowledge base or request whenever they need online. Do you have an understanding of what type of services they're requesting from you? Is there a particular service that takes a lot longer than the others? Or is in such higher demand compared to the others? The point is that you already know a lot of this. Just don't forget when it comes to time to design your service. When you look at the data that you already get from your customers, when you look at their incidents and problems, all this data already exists there. So use it when you start designing your services. Okay, so now you have that sorted out, let's move on to number 2. Give them a selection of services. We were delivering a webinar with Evelyn Orlick from Forrester a while ago. And she made that observation that service organizations without a catalog is like a restaurant without a menu. Now think about it for a minute. You could order anything you wanted in that restaurant, but there would be no guarantee that the kitchen has those ingredients in place, or that the chef knows how to cook that specific dish for you, or how long would it take to get served, or how much would it cost? And imagine the chaos back in the kitchen. They will have no way to anticipate demand, no way to prioritize, no way to budget for ingredients they might need, and they will have no way to scale. Is that how you run your services right now? So what we would like to suggest is give your users this menu. Give them a list of services you provide so they can understand what you do rather than guessing, which I promise you that this is what they're doing today. Capture all the required information up front. Get it all in an electronic form so that when you get the request, you have everything that you need in order to start providing that service to them. Remember, You already have a lot of that information if you have an asset management or a CMDB in place. Don't ask them for the information again. There's nothing more annoying than asking someone for an information they already provided to you. And let me tell you a story that I have in my personal life with my phone and cable provider. I upgraded my service from a double play to triple play just a few weeks ago. And unfortunately, when I did that, that caused a whole set of issues with my phone line that didn't work for a whole week. When I tried to call the support line of my service provider, I had to provide all my details about my address, my name, my social security number, and I had to do it each and every time again, including providing all the technical details of my problem to each new support representative I talked to. That brought me really close to give up and just choose a new provider. And I did that for more than 5 times in 1 week. So this frustration is completely unnecessary if all the information is captured up front. One more thing to keep in mind is that your customers do not speak IT language. When you ask them for pieces of information like system ID or IP addresses, you make them, you are actually challenging them, and they have no clue of what you mean, what you're asking for, and where to go and find it. So try to avoid that and get that information from your own system as much as you can. There will still be requests that don't fit into a standard definition, what we actually describe as the menu. But that is now okay, because that submitters know that they are requesting something that is not standard. You know, like when you ask for something special in a restaurant, you are actually expecting that that will take longer and might cost a little more, but the expectations are set properly. Okay, so once you have created this catalog or menu, what do you do next? You tell people about it. Even if you build the best menu in the world, how will your customers know about it if you don't tell them? And even if you're not in marketing, and I know most of the people in this webinar are not marketing folks, you probably have some ideas. If you build it, they will come. This saying only used to work for Kevin Costner in The Field of Dreams back in the 1990s. You need to do a whole lot more for just build it. You have to promote it so people would know about your service, know how to use it, and know what it could do for them. There are lots of different ways. For example, think about coffee mugs with the logo of your new service that you can start distributing for people to advertise your service at the coffee room or at their desks. So they are becoming actually your promoters around the office. Think about posters that you can hang in the break room or in the cafeteria. Email signatures that actually provide a link to your new service. Table tents in the cafeteria that actually are put there when you launch the new service to advertise it when customers come down to lunch. Put some messages in the hold message on your phone to make sure that people know about your new service. Put stickers on people's desks and in the cubicles, and again, in the break rooms. Put together competitions in order to create some more buzz and interest around the new services that you launch. Put the cool and fun video clips that you can advertise on the company's web portal. And of course, mention that in newsletters. So as I said, there are a lot of different ways. And you don't need to stop once you launch. Continue to market your service even after you go live. Again, there is no over-communication. And in that case, the more you do, the more people get familiar with that, the more people expose themselves to your service. And if it's good, they're going to come and they're going to stay. Market your service on your own service. So use your front page of the new portal to advertise, the takeaways and the benefits of your service. Put in testimonials of users that used it and saw the benefit. And reward customers who use your service in the way you want. Think about, for example, introducing a new and improved SLA for people that come through the portal versus people that continue to show up through your phone line. And then let them get your service from anywhere. Because why should they need to be at their desk to make a request? That's not how modern workers work today, right? They work from home. They work from the train. They work from a plane. They work from the car. They work from the coffee shop. And a lot of workers are almost never coming into the office anymore or sit at their desks. So give them access whenever they are, just like those consumer apps they already use in their personal lives. After all, they can get everything else on their phones and tablets. So why not your service too? Make it accessible for them. Remember that phone is a different device. It's very different from a laptop. It has a different form factor. So create a different interface. Make it fit to that form factor so the usage would be pleasant. Think about the extra information that a mobile device already has and can help you get, like geolocation from the GPS and the ability to scan barcodes and take pictures. So people could capture information more easily without texting it into the device. They can just snap it or scan the barcode and make this information available for you as the service provider much more easily. What you're trying to do is encourage the use of your service via your new interface. You're training your users, so make it easy for them to use. Make it as transparent as possible. Think about self-help knowledge base, for example. Depending on your users, that might be a good option. Perhaps you can even have some logic that suggests solutions, or someone was entering a description of where they needed help. Think about all those options, or think about the possibility of bringing a group of users together so they could share knowledge and contribute to one another in a way that IT, in many cases, would not even need to be involved. And of course, don't forget to have some fun. This is really important in making this whole initiative successful. Remember, what you are trying to do is have your users embrace a new way of interacting with you. So some will come, straightforward, the early adopters, the people that are technology savvy, they will embrace it immediately. But others would need a little encouragement. To make it fun and interesting will give them the right push to embrace it faster. One of the greatest fears that people might have over such kind of a move to a portal is the loss or removal of the human element from the interaction. At least when they phoned you, they got someone else on the other line that they could speak to, right? And some people still have this connection between the human voice on the other side and support delivery. So help those people with the transition. Make it easier for them by building excitement around your launch. After all, the best way to get other people excited is to be excited yourself. Excitement is contagious. You have to be excited about the services that you deliver. So it might help to think about yourself as being responsible for creating demand for your new service. Think about when Apple is releasing a new iPhone or a new version of one of their devices. Think about the people that are camping out of the store, overnight in order to be the first ones, and that happens, all around the world, just to get their hands on this new gadget, at the very first moment they can. And at the end of the day, if we think about it, this phone is not really that different from the previous one they already have in their pocket. So how do we create demand? How do we create excitement? How do we build this buzz around the application? You want to create the demand like that. So when your online services become live and people can start accessing it, people are going to be virtually camping in a line outside your new portal. How do we get that going? So a great trick I've seen is hiding all kinds of Easter eggs within the catalog. Create some imaginary items in the catalog. So when people find them, reward them for that. Make this whole thing gamified. so people can have more fun about the new way of approaching your services. The first 25 people to find the hidden reptile, for example, in the list of services gets a free coffee mug, again, with the logo of the new service. So you actually earn that twice. You don't have to have expensive gifts. Nothing expensive is needed in this kind of advertisement. Far better is to use cheap promotional items that you can afford more of. Give away stress ball imprinted with your service names and URL, coffee cups, stands, desk toys, but not the kind of things that people will take them immediately home for their kids. But use them as things that could be used around the office as live advertisements of your new service. So we want them to stay on the recipient's desk. We want them to stay in the break room for a while. Something that will remind them of their positive interaction with you and get others talking about that too. Donuts and coffee always goes great. So people would always be happy to get a free donut and coffee, especially, when that's not the standard. So together with a little bit with compliments, slips, or little flags advertising your new service on the donut are easy and inexpensive way to get people to pay more attention to your new service offering, at least long enough to try it out. And then, if the experience itself would be engaging, they will stay. But not everything has to be done through the new portal. In fact, in some cases, email is actually great. Approvals are a great example for process steps that could be executed quickly via email. Not only does this make things a little easier, it can remove unnecessary delays from the process. And executives, well, they really love it. This is just a part of anywhere, anytime story that we started a couple of slides ago. And we're not saying that email is bad in all cases, all the time. Just when it is used to execute the entire process. But that's not what it is when we talk about here. This is all about taking a single step in the process, notifying the specific approver via email, and allowing them, again, via email, to respond the same way. Everything that happens is still recorded and managed in your single system of record. And the approver always has the option of going into the application or into the mobile device to get more information about whatever is being requested. Executives love this because it means that they can perform approvals from anywhere, all the time, from the airport, from a taxi, from the golf course, in those places when executives actually spend their day. They are no longer the bottleneck for approvals. So we want to build the process in a way that it will be streamlined the best way possible. And again, the management of the holistic process, the approval chain, the logic, happens in the tool. The email is only used for communicating with the approver and getting the approval. And speaking of bottlenecks, wouldn't you like to have it all hit in one place? Well, we buy pretty much everything online these days, and you will get the status update. And here, we're talking about the reversal of the information flow. Whenever you are having something delivered to you, for example, from a retailer like Amazon, using services like UPS or FedEx, you are filling in a survey, doesn't matter. You expect to know how long will it take. How long would it take before the service would be delivered or the request would be fulfilled? Those kind of examples like the Amazon progress bar, the UPS progress bar, they tell you whenever you are looking for an update on where the status is, you will know immediately. And actually, they create some kind of an SLA with you as the recipient of that service. You actually assume that everything would be delivered on time and as promised. And if something goes wrong, they will notify you that something is wrong. So you don't need to chase the information. You expect the information to chase you. So why should it be any different when you come into the office? After all, you're still requesting stuff, right? And there are predefined set of steps in that process that have to happen before you get to your stuff. Is that correct? And since your process is automated, you can very easily display where the request is in the process at any moment in time, right? So do this. Deliver better service and reduce the volume of incoming status requests that give customers what they want. Remember, a big portion of the inquiries that you get to the service desk are actually asking for a status for a request that has already been filed in before. So you can eliminate them by reversing the information flow. Make sure that your users are subscribed and notified on the service delivery estimate, and then make sure that they're notified whenever anything goes wrong and there is a delay. When you start getting them used to that kind of a communication, you will start seeing an immediate decrease on the volume of the status check calls that you get into your service desk. You also help to get rid of their perception of a black box service delivery experience that they have today. So many internal service providers and encourage self-service at the same time. Remember, it's a win-win, both for you and for the people that you actually support. So let's move on to number 8. We don't want to make your users learn a whole new interface when you launch your new service. You want to make it as familiar as possible for them. Make the experience so familiar that they don't need instructions. Make it natural for them. They don't need a manual. They don't need anything else. It should just work and be natural to them. We're actually encouraging our customers to customize the portal that comes out of the box. We don't want them to use the out-of-the-box solution because we want the portal to actually blend in to the existing environment that the customers, internal customers that you have, are already used to see and interact with. Use the same language. Use the same technical terms, the abbreviations that you use in your business. Make this thing yours, not the out-of-the-box product. This is the place to actually take the basic out-of-the-box solution and make it yours. Don't be afraid to promote your services from within your portal. We mentioned that before. Offer suggestions, hints, ideas along the way. Advertise new offerings that are coming soon. So use your portal to promote your portal. Use it to create excitement about what's coming next. This is a great billboard for you to advertise your services, your success, and what's coming next. After all, those changes are yet another opportunity to promote the service. So I want to talk about change for a minute. Changes will happen often. And actually, we at IT see ourselves as people that should make changes as painless as we can. But we cannot block changes. Changes are a necessity in making us move forward and in introducing new capabilities and new ideas to the way we operate. It is better just to accept that fact and move on rather than trying to fight it. After all, fight will take a long time, be incredibly frustrating, and most importantly, you will lose. So look at the changes and updates from a new perspective. Don't look at them as a problematic factor that you need to deal with. Look at them as an opportunity. Every time you have to tell your customers about a change, creates an opportunity for you to promote it. So a change is an opportunity to do two things. First, introduce new capabilities that are supposed to make everyone's lives easier and make your users more capable. And two, it is again a platform that you can use to advertise your service as a whole. And in turn, that will drive increased adoption. This is what you're after, right? You want more users to get exposed to your new service and adopt it. Higher levels of automation and less of those off-the-menu type of requests. Remember that when you're telling your customers about a change, they should hear what you are saying from their perspective. I'm going back to the point that I mentioned before about not speaking to customers in IT language. Pretty much every one of us listeners have to have a kind of getting that kind of an announcement thinking, so what does it mean for me? Don't make them figure it out. Tell them exactly what it means for them. Don't tell them that you have released a new user interface, for example. Tell them that you have made the service easier for them to use. Don't tell them that you have changed the approval flow. Tell them that approvals are now completely automated. You get the drift. Tell them what it means for them, not what it means for you, and don't burden them with technical terms that they don't understand. When you do those changes, don't announce them all too often, in small chunks either, because that might just make your customers weary, and they will stop paying attention to you, and you don't want that. Bundle up your changes and announce them every month or so. Think of each one of those announcements as, again, an opportunity to mini launch, perhaps even utilizing some of those launch ideas we discussed earlier in idea number 5, having fun, remember? So this tool set that we're talking about could be used in many different fashions throughout other techniques that I've mentioned along this webinar. So a change could also introduce some fun ideas when this change is announced and introduced to your users. And that was the top 9. Once you have some of those under control and implemented, it's time to move to the really big one. So everything that you have done for your service could be replicated for other services across the business. In fact, you might not have a choice. So let me break some news to you, based on what we're seeing our customers going through. They tell us that they get other lines of business executives knocking at their door shortly after they start offering services that people want to use, asking them the same thing for their service domain. So when something good happens, it starts to become viral in the business, and others want to adopt that as well. And while you might think that this is extra work, which, to be honest, it is, there is a big plus side to this. Extend to other services and your customers, who are, by the way, also customers of other internal service domains. Have one place to go to for everything they need to do their job. Think about, how that simplifies their day-to-day life. Now, your entire organization is using your system to manage the provision of internal services that employees need. Whether those services are coming from HR or IT or from the marketing or legal departments, people are getting services from finance, from facilities, from the business operations, and many other departments. All of them are, in the end of the day, are service providers, exactly like you are, for your internal customers. They have actually changed the way people work in your company. You have made your entire company more efficient. You have slashed that horrible statistic I shared in the beginning. People spending 2 days out of the working week to do administrative tasks. You have the power with that approach to change that and reduce that significantly. So that typical employee would not spend 15 hours per week anymore. They will spend much, much less. Our customers tell us that a single process from a single department can slash work times from days to hours, or even to minutes. Think about the impact you can have across the entire organization when you automate lots of processes in lots of departments. Give your customers one place to go for everything as a service. So these are the top 10. I'm sure that there are more, and I'm looking forward to hear more of your ideas in our community. So let me recap. We started with understanding your customer. Know who they are, how they work, how they interact with you, what makes them tick, and what makes them happy. Provide them a service selection. Remember the restaurant and the menu? We want to provide them with the same kind of experience so you could be more consistent in your service delivery, and they could rally around the expectations that you set. They will be more satisfied. Then we talked about the M word, marketing and advertising. We need to wear our marketing caps in order to make our service as used as possible, to advertise it so people would be aware of it and increase adoption. It's our job to do that. We want to provide those services anywhere, anytime. We talked about mobile access and the expectation of today's workforce to be able to consume services anywhere, anytime. They are much more mobile. People are not expecting to do everything for their work from their desks anymore. It's very important to remember that fun and excitement are contagious. So have fun with your project. Have fun with your launch. Make it fun so people would see it's fun to interact with you, and they will want to try themselves. Once they tried it, they would want to stay if the experience is engaging. We want to make it easier for executives to be a part of the process, make it more accessible to them. So we want to allow approvals over email. We talked about that email is a good mechanism to get that aspect of the service delivery accessible for the approvers. We want to provide status update. Remember, we talked about reversing the flow of information. We don't want this status check calls coming into the service desk. We want to eliminate them and reduce the volume of those kind of calls coming into the service desk. We do that by providing status updates to our users, providing them with time estimates and notifications so they could get into a zone where they believe they will be notified if anything goes wrong. Otherwise, they expect to get that service at the time promised to be delivered. We want to integrate the experience so it would be as seamless as possible as part of your corporate environment in terms of themes, language, graphic design, etc. So people would be comfortable to engage and people would perceive that as seamless as possible. We want to capitalize on changes. As we said, changes are inevitable. It's part of our business environment today. So let's turn them into opportunities and leverage them as means to advertise our service and introduce new capabilities to make our employees empowered and more capable. And lastly, when we implement the new service in our area and make it right, it becomes viral in the organization. Other parts of the organization, other service delivery domains, other business units would like to engage with that system to drive more consistency in the way we deliver services. So here you go. These are my top 10 to deliver service management that people actually want to use. So what do you think? Do we miss anything? We would really love you to post your ideas on our community page. We'd like to get that conversation going. And with that, we conclude our program for today. Thank you very much for joining us, and goodbye.